When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the new Prologue EV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
It's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
Everybody won. There's nothing to talk about.
No, we going to the bowl, baby. We are going to the bowl.
Don't say that.
When you hold that team to 9 points down there.
Isn't that something?
2 weeks after you held the Rams to 7, these two explosive offensive teams, and you shut them down and tie them in knots. Atlanta was close to 50% on third down, and they were 1 for 10, 1 for 11 yesterday. These guys don't give you nothing. They're on the road. They've won 5 in a row on the road. I believe for the first time since 74, did I read? First time since 74.
How good was Keenum in the second half?
He was fine. Yeah, he was making a completion.
Perfect.
He was perfect.
He was perfect, which is amazing. They only scored 14 points.
Mm-hmm. But you could tell that they specifically were trying to play against the clock in the second half.
But to have that good of offensive numbers and only score 2 touchdowns was kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But, they didn't let Kai try any field goals, which is probably a good strategy.
Yes.
Because you're going to then have to put the ball back where he missed it from. So you don't want that. But, they're, you know what? Difference between this and 98. They aren't as explosive, obviously, but much better defense. That 98 team was iffy defensively.
They just seem terribly competent.
Yes, or confident, too.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those two things. Yeah.
What if it comes down to another missed field goal like it did in 98?
Why are you guys playing this?
Wouldn't that be fun?
It would surprise nobody.
Right.
It would be more of surprising if they made it this year than missed it. So, I don't know. It's, of course, we were just speculating that when you're hosting the Super Bowl in your palatial new stadium, it might be Viking-like to make your collapse in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. You know, to come up short when you think it's in your grasp, actually in your own stadium in the Super Bowl.
Who has the most Super Bowl losses? Buffalo?
No, we're tied with Buffalo.
Vikings have 4.
Doesn't Denver have 5?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think Denver has 5.
But they also have some victories.
Yes, they have 2 victories.
Right.
Yes, the Vikings and the Vikings.
Know what we're gonna do because you got that second chance.
We're playing at home, and if we win, we're going to the bowl. I thought at that moment that everything that I had done, that my payoff would be the Super Bowl.
The 14-2 Atlanta Falcons stood between the Vikings and their Super Bowl dream.
That's enough. We don't have to offend that loyal band that's still out there.
Still, my favorite after was the next year. Are you over the field goal miss?
Schultze. Gary Schultenberg, Gary Anderson arrives in Mankato, and his right foot has not yet hit the pavement. His left foot is
getting out of the car.
Have you gotten over missing that field goal?
Who would it be right now? New England or Minnesota?
Yep.
If you had to make a choice?
Yep. New England has won 9 in a row. Vikings won 8 in a row. Philadelphia's 9-game winning streak came to an end. They only got 10 points against Seattle. Mm-hmm. And the Rams had their streak ended by the Vikings at 7. So there are 4 good teams in the NFC. The Saints, who the Vikings beat. The Rams, who the Vikings beat. And the Eagles, who they haven't played. There's 4 good teams.
And the ray of hope is if they do meet New England for the Super Bowl, and it's here.
Yes.
New England
is 6-0 on the road, 4-2 at home, and technically they would be the home team for this Super Bowl.
That's right.
And you know what? Even though it's a home game, Super Bowl-wise, crowd-wise, it's not the same kind of advantage because Minnesotans can get like 20,000 of the tickets or something like that. The rest of it goes to people from all around the country. So.
How about this? So you, Pat, you were right. Denver 3-5 have lost a record 5 Super Bowls. The Vikings and the Bills are tied with one other franchise losing 4 Super Bowls. Can you think of it? I never would have guessed this.
Philadelphia.
Dallas?
New England.
Really?
New England has lost 4 Super Bowls.
2 to the Giants, and then the Bears, and then
the Packers. The Packers.
Yeah, the Packers won. Yeah. Yeah, they've been in 4. You know, the funny that you don't think about that because they were rotten for 30 years, but a couple of times they popped up and went to Super Bowls and then got beat. So.
Okay, let me run this by you.
Yeah.
In each conference, the division winners obviously make the playoffs. There's 3 teams right there.
4.
4, I'm sorry. 4. And then 2 wild cards?
Yes.
All right. By the time the Green Bay-Minnesota game rolls around, could Green Bay be in a position to secure a wild card?
Not to secure, but they could still have some life in them. They have 2 left now. If they're 7-7, I don't know. They could be eliminated at 7-7. They might have to win them both and be 8-6.
Well, they do go to Cleveland next week, so they should beat those guys.
Yes, they are.
What is Cleveland's presenting problem?
The fact that they're Cleveland.
They this year, their quarterback play has stunk. They just stink. They're just.
I caught a bit of Cleveland and the Los Angeles Chargers. Just for the hell of it, I clicked to it.
And the Chargers,
they're in a high school stadium.
Yeah, they're playing in a soccer stadium that holds 27
It's just ridiculous.
or 8,000. That was my dream is but it can't happen because New England is too good. But my dream would be the AFC to have a bunch of upsets and that the Chargers end up at home for the AFC title game in a 27,000 seat stadium.
But there is a chance, though, that because the Chargers have won a few games, so they're tied with Kansas City now for the division lead.
And
there's
Oakland.
a chance they could host a playoff game.
Yeah,
if they win the division.
They will host a playoff game. Yeah, if they win the division. They might win the division because Kansas City's lost 6 out of 7.
And remain in first place.
Tied for first. And Oakland is terrible. They're just mediocre. Everybody's going to get fired at Oakland, and they might win the division.
Yeah, the
Del
AFC
Rio
West
and Ticey and the boys are probably all going to get fired, and they still might win the division. So,
is it for sure that Oakland's going to Vegas?
Yes.
That's a done deal. Just have to build the ballpark.
2020, and I think it's underway. I think they're building. It doesn't take long in Vegas. So, although some people have said 2021, maybe.
Ladies, get in shape.
Oh, man.
Get in shape, girls.
That's right.
You're going to have a work burden.
If you're a 35-year-old hooker, man,
you got a lot of work cut out for you.
You know what? A little money that you're sacrificing now.
That's right.
By not.
It's the long
by
play.
working out in the morning instead of going out and making money.
You got to think long term.
Yeah, I got to think long term.
This is an investment situation.
You'll be in the game till you're 55 once the NFL gets there. If you just look okay.
Yeah.
Just mediocre. Yeah.
Got to get the flat abs.
Yeah.
You really got to think ahead.
Well, then again, the Green Bayers get there. They might want a little meat on the bone. I don't know. So whatever.
Well, we'll stop going down that road.
Yes, we will. But
given the current
it's
climate.
my theory. And
yeah, it is a good theory. It's a good theory.
I stick with it because I think it's going to be the greatest sports franchise in American history.
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas and the NFL, a marriage made in heaven.
It really is. Mm-hmm. Why don't we take a break?
All right. We promised. I promised on Twitter you and I were going to discuss Tigers. So
all right. We'll
have to do that.
We'll do that.
I forgot. I am of the belief that they made that golf course as easy as they possibly could on Sunday. The wind didn't blow as hard, but they wanted to see the man post a good score to end the tournament. I think they had it a little set up a little rougher on Saturday and had it really set up easy yesterday, which contributed to Ricky Fowler starting with 7 birdies and shooting 61.
Mm-hmm. It was premature for the bookies to say he's going to win the Masters.
Well, they lowered it.
They lowered it from $1 million to 1.
66 to 1 to 33 to 1. Although the guys, who's the guys? Judd Mackey. Who's the guy? The gambling guy, Judd Mackey.
Todd Furman.
They got a gambling guy on either Thursday or Friday, and I heard him explain it. The fact that he showed life, and that everybody who goes to Vegas puts $5 on Tiger Woods. They don't want to get themselves in a position where they could owe millions, so they lowered the odds. So, it's not so much they think he's going to win it, but they don't want to pay 66 to 1, when they can cut the odds in half.
Do we know when he plays next?
He has not told us.
I thought he looked great.
And sounded great and confident and friendly and more open than I've ever heard him. Not at all nervous and crabby.
Never saw pain grimace. You saw grimacing.
I saw grimace, but I think it was shots.
There were shot grimaces. It's not pain grimace.
So you're saying pin placement on Sunday made all the difference in the world?
No. I think that they wanted to. They didn't want Tiger to.
Well, how so? How do they adjust the course?
Put the pins in the middle of the
easy to hit.
Yeah, and you just make it. You shorten it up a little bit. You don't. You can, even though the numbers on the card don't change, you can move the tee boxes 20 yards.
Yeah, fill in some of those sand pits, you knucklehead.
I wasn't impressed with the golf course.
I don't care. I was, because the wind was blowing off the water and the sun was shining. That was
I'm impressed with the land.
Plus, if you got money and you're ever gonna watch a golf tournament, go to the Bahamas in December, because nobody's there.
Right.
There's 12 people walking all around with these guys.
Yeah, looked hotter than hell to me.
It was
sweaty.
18 great players. You don't have to see any mutts. They're only out there for like 5 hours, 5.5 for the day. You can still do anything you want to do, and you can go actually watch golf. That's the place to go.
Who plays in it? Whoever he invites?
Whoever they can get. His buddies. Ricky's his big buddy now. Ricky's the one who was telling everybody how good he was hitting.
Well, I think Ricky lives on Jupiter Island, as does Tiger. I thought his swing looked different. It doesn't look as punishing.
He took a hack. I read some guy from Golf Digest or channel or something, and of the 5 things about Tiger that impressed him, and attitude was one of them, Kitty. And the fact that he was loose. Rather than as tight as he usually was. The number one was that he actually took a swing at the ball and didn't look like he had any qualms about hitting
But there
the
was
ball.
some fluidity to it.
And length.
Yeah.
He was hitting it along. He hasn't, last couple of times he came back, he was hitting it 280. Now he's back hitting it over 300.
For all I know, he's in an ER someplace right now. Screaming in
traction
pain.
somewhere?
I have no idea. But he sure looked like he was pain-free.
Well, he's got the sex addiction taken care of.
That's all taken
He's
care
got
of.
the drug addiction taken care of. That's
Did Lindsey
pretty much
Vonn
it.
cure him of that?
No, he went to the
the
ran
thing.
into the mailbox in the tree. He went to sex treatment in Mississippi.
After she knocked out all his teeth with a wedge.
So is that like alcohol then? No more knocking boots forever?
I think you pick your spots.
He's got a current girlfriend, one of the Waffle House waitresses.
Well, how can you cure yourself? That's like saying you went through treatment for alcoholism, but you still have a couple of beers every
Kenny,
week.
it sounds like you don't want to be cured.
I don't think that they. I don't know. I think it's that it shouldn't control your life. Is what the idea is. That there's other things.
Well, you're
in
not
life.
male then. You're simply not a man.
Pat, remind me, which friend of yours said after you said I went through treatment? Well, you can still drink beer.
Yeah, Randy Galloway. He says he and I were driving down to College Station he picked me up at the Dallas airport. And he had 12 Lone Star long necks in the back seat. He says, "Give us a couple of beers." I said, "Randy, I'm not drinking." He said, "You could have a beer."
You can smoke weed, can't you? Jeez.
Was it still legal then when he did that?
Hell, I don't know.
You could drink in your car in Texas up until...
I think Randy still can drink in his car if he wants to.
It just depends on who's driving.
You can have a beer.
Oh, God, I love that.
Beer, man. Randy was in a feud for years with the Dallas, he covered the Rangers, and he got in a feud with Brad Corbett. So he brought his own beer to the press box. He'd bring a cooler with like 8 Lone Star long necks, because they used to bring you drinks in the press box. But
Boy,
Randy,
that tradition has ended.
oh, hell yes. Yeah. Cute little young ladies would say, would you like a cocktail?
Well,
I
after
think
right.
I will have a gin and
It
tonic.
used to be the only reason I'd go out to the horse track. Because you just go up to the press box and get hammered.
Well, anyway, Tiger beat some big names.
Oh, yeah, he played, yes, this is great. People are now, now all of a sudden everybody's saying
Golf doesn't
golf's
need
in
him, but this just adds a nice little
sure
layer.
It does. Sure it does.
Yeah.
But the trouble with it is there's
You don't think golf needs him? No, golf
there's
needs him.
25
I
guys to
disagree.
beat right now instead of about 3. When he
Kenny,
was in his
there's
prime.
a million good guys. They're the monsters
the
he
golf,
created.
The golf people don't care about that. They care about us fringe watchers like me.
Well, that's true.
Tiger's back. I better turn on Channel 11.
Like Mackey, I don't know if Mackey's so damn excited he can't stand.
Well,
it.
and not to mention they get the exposure on the big network whenever Tiger's relevant. I mean, there's no way they cover that tournament as
Advertisers
extensively
love
as they
it.
did.
Everybody loves it when Tiger's back.
Without him in contention.
Yeah, that
I'd
doesn't go
rather-
to NBC over the weekend if he's not playing.
I'd rather watch
I'm not
Lindsey
watching
Vonn
these-
ski, but that's okay.
Who's watching these crotchety old crackers walk around a country club?
That
Give
was
me a
my
break.
favorite story of the year. I pointed that out in the Turkey of the Year column. My favorite story of the year was when the AP and about 3 other sources told us that the President's Cup team from the U.S. was not going to protest the national anthem. Shocker. These 12 capitalists who are running around erect because of the new tax bill.
Kenny, you know what I
protest.
Kenny, you know what I learned from that golf tournament? What are hero motorcycles? I've never heard of them.
Yeah, a little crotch
I had to
rockets.
look them up. They're
Do
not
they make?
made.
Do they only make crotch rockets?
No, they make all sorts of things from
Really?
from scooters on up.
Are
yeah.
they Asian?
They must be. They're not made here.
Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Never
You
heard
mean the
of
guys that make them or ride them?
them. No,
You
where
know
are
what?
they made?
Brand name is Hero.
You know what? This is probably ethnically insensitive.
Well,
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
but I think
Let me just delete it out right now.
products should have an Asian name, so we know.
Hiroski.
Yeah, hurrah, Yamaha. Yeah, okay, now we know that. I'm not saying don't buy them, but at least we know.
You know what? Mike
If
Weber,
they say hero,
our engineer, is outside the door. We should ask him in. He's a motorcycle nut.
we'll ask him.
Like
during the
Nagasone motorcycle, so
Yes,
fast, like rabbit.
break. Yeah, right.
Something like that.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, they must be doing pretty well to sponsor a golf tournament. How did
They're
he
out
line
there.
them up?
Or it's a last-ditch desperation attempt.
Right, yeah. Maybe they got him at a
They've
cut
had
rate.
them for about 3-4 years. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
This one's changed its name a few times, but I think they've had them as a sponsor for about 4 years.
Well, for Pete's sake.
By the way, I just looked up a bowl game. I was looking at all the bowl games, and the Gophers in 2000 lost in the Micron PC Bowl, and it's
remember
now
that.
moved from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. It's the Camping World Bowl. It started in 1990 as the Blockbuster. It's had 8 names.
Wow.
This bowl game.
I'd like to be on their committee.
In 28
Those guys
years,
in the
they've
plaid
had
jackets.
8 names.
right.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah,
got to
like-
run around and say,
Yeah.
come on down.
Yeah.
We'll have canopies. And,
Yeah, right. We'll have all that good-
Canopies?
Yeah.
Get the peas.
Sports Talk will be back shortly, but now thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now.
You know, one of the biggest companies in Japan is SoftBank. Where they got that name from, I have no idea. Yeah.
You guys know about the weather that's headed this way? I-90 was closed for a while in South Dakota. Between Wall and New Underwood, westbound I-90, it's open again. And I'm looking at some of the MnDOT cams in western Minnesota. They've got snow. Fargo up to Crookston.
Could be heart attacks now, too.
Yeah. We got Dave Dahl on twice a day, Kenny. You're not telling us anything we don't
The
know.
thing is nobody's listening to you, Joe, so I figured I'd update.
Maybe they're listening now. Here's John Haidt.
Why, thank you, Joe. It's cloudy, light rain, 56 degrees. Some sports headlines. I think Chris is going to have a little news bulletin for us in just a minute or two, but we'll do the sports first. Vikings won their 8th straight yesterday, beat Atlanta 14-9. The Eagles lost last night, and they now have the same records, of course, the Vikings and Eagles, but the Vikings hold the tiebreaker at the moment.
It's the 4th or 5th tiebreaker. Judd's got a piece on our website explaining how our boys win the tiebreaker.
Vikings stay on the road this week.
Strength of schedule you've played, I believe.
Take on the Carolina Panthers. The Twins have been eliminated from the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. The 23-year-old Ohtani has a list of teams that, well, it's predominantly West Coast based, although a couple other teams sneak in there. Apparently, the teams he's notified he'd be interested in signing with: the Angels, Cubs, Dodgers, Giants, Mariners, Padres, and Rangers.
John, I wasn't holding my breath.
What?
So he gets to fill out a list as to who he would like to bid on him.
Mm-hmm.
Basically saying other teams don't even try.
No, here's the deal: the amount of money he can get out of the signing bonus pool is so small that there's no disadvantage for him signing one place or the other.
Okay.
So he can tell them where he might.
Got it.
There's nothing the Twins could do to make themselves more favorable than the Dodgers.
Be closer to Japan.
Yeah.
It was fun, though, yesterday watching local Twitter explode when he had ruled out the Yankees as a possible destination, and a lot of people got their hopes up.
D'Angelo Ball will no longer be on the UCLA basketball team, and in fact will not be a student at UCLA.
Is he one of the sunglasses thieves?
Yes, he's one of them. He's the middle son and the one, and that's why he's leaving, because he got untreated fairly, right, Johnny?
Yep, TMZ Sports reporting Dad, LeVar Ball, is removing him from the institution. LeVar apparently believes the suspension was unfair. That's the suspension from stealing the stuff in China. He said, especially since the charges were dropped. LeVar's people told TMZ Sports the famous dad thinks there's no need to break down a kid's spirit for making a mistake.
3 mistakes, actually, because they robbed from three. They robbed from
Who did
3 stores.
Dad play for?
Oh, I don't know, junior college or some damn thing. You know,
What grade was this kid in?
he was a freshman.
So where's he going to put him?
They're going to focus on the NBA draft, from what I read.
Well, good for
really?
them,
Oh,
because he won't get drafted.
No, he will not.
He's a very mediocre player.
News notes from today. A dog that brought home the apparent remains of a skull triggered a search that led to the discovering of human skeletal remains yesterday in Wisconsin's Barron County.
I hate when that happens.
Yes.
A release from the Barron County Sheriff's Department said authorities got a call from an owner who said their dog had brought home the skull yesterday. Deputies responded to the area south of Barron and found the skull apparently belonged to a human. Search of the wooded area.
Skull!
Anybody?
No, skull, Kenny.
Skull.
No, skull means drink from their skull.
Oh.
Anybody missing over there, Johnny?
Well, they are investigating. The search of the area after they found the skull led to the discovery of remains.
Not near those guys from Manitowoc, was it?
I don't know
What they do.
Isn't that where the murder?
Wisconsin's got some weird deals.
Mm-hmm.
It's not known at this time how long
Making of a murder, isn't that?
Thanks, Ed
Manitowoc?
Gein.
Ed Gein. Yeah.
Not known how long the remains had been there or if the person involved was male or female. Wisconsin State Patrol, Barron County Medical Examiner, Wisconsin State Lab, and the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office here in Minnesota are all helping out with the investigation.
What was Reaver's bulletin?
I just was going to say, I promised Chris would have something.
I was
Breaking
patiently
news,
waiting.
And then I skipped him.
I was patiently waiting, John. That's
What do you
fine.
got, Chris?
The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to fully enforce a ban on travel to the United States by residents of 6 mostly Muslim countries. The justices say in an order today that the policy can take full effect even as legal challenges against it make their way through the courts. The ban applies to travelers from Chad, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. Lower courts had said people from those nations with a claim of a bona fide relationship with someone in the United States could not be kept out of the country. Grandparents, cousins, and other relatives were among these courts said could not be excluded.
What about those creeps in Canada? Are we still letting them in?
We're still letting them in.
They still
Wall.
coming
We
in?
want a wall.
Wall in Canada.
Plus, Winnipeg's in first place now in the division.
Yeah.
Let's keep the Jets out of here, too.
Bar the door.
Teens fixated on their smartphones experience changes their brain chemistry. It mirrors those that are prompted by addiction, according to a new study. Kids who compulsively use the internet or fiddled with their phones tended to have increased neurotransmitter activity in the anterior cingulate cortex. That is the region tied to the brain systems of behavior reward.
Even if you're just a little kid watching a cartoon on an iPad?
Well, it sounds like it.
It makes you dumb? Is that what you're saying?
Dr. Christopher Whitlow said.
Do what now?
Hold on, I'm looking at my phone. What'd you say?
Hang on, what? Dr. Christopher Whitlow, an associate professor of radiology with the Wake Forest Substance Addiction and Abuse Center, says this particular region is well known to be involved in addiction based upon the modulation of those kinds of behaviors. The authors here are showing an effect in part of the circuitry of the brain that's involved with addiction. Researchers use standardized addiction tests to diagnose the teens, judge the severity of the addiction. Questions focused on the extent to which internet or smartphone use affected their daily routine, social life, productivity, sleeping patterns, and emotions.
What part of the brain?
Your mic's off.
What part of the brain did they say?
Oh, you're going to make me
The
say
part
it
that
again.
remembers
Because I think
the
that's
mic
my
on.
second favorite part of the brain.
Anterior cingulate cortex.
My favorite part is the medulla oblongata. Sounds like some guy from
like a dance.
Middle East, Hey, medulla, what's going
They
on?
can't come to the country anymore.
Yeah, I'm from Chad. He's from Chad. I'll switch that. He's from Chad.
Chad sounds so nice, though. I know a few Chads. They're gentlemen.
I just think of the votes, the hanging Chad.
Oh, the hanging Chad. Mm-hmm. You know what, Kenny? Do you know any hanging Chads?
Well,
a senior UN diplomat who's a former George W. Bush appointee will go to North Korea this week for talks with representatives of Kim Jong-un. UN Undersecretary General for Political Affairs Jeffrey Feltman will have plenty to talk about with North Korean officials as the UN Security Council is deadlocked on further sanction and as back-channel talks between the U.S. and North Korea have not been fruitful. UN spokesman Stephanie Dujarric said Feltman will meet North Korea's foreign minister, a vice minister, diplomats, and UN staff.
What are we going to do about those Winter Olympics, John?
Pat, go ahead, please.
Hail the flashlight king.
Hail you.
I just, as an old motorcycle rider myself, I was surprised. My brother told me that Hero, largest two-wheel manufacturer in the world,
they're in
out of
India.
New Delhi.
In
out
India.
of New Delhi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. That's it.
They should
Thank
give us
you.
a,
Thank you.
They should give us a hint with the title.
how many do they seat?
In India or here? In
At least a dozen, right?
They'll seat a family.
Oh, hey, you guys are back on the air.
Thank you.
Good to hear.
Okay, thank you.
How about this story? Last
We really
week,
get that call.
Love it.
My favorite is you guys know you're off the air, right? We can barely hear the phone because the sirens are going off.
Or
Am I on the air?
no.
Yes.
Are we on now?
John Height is.
No,
yes.
we're not on the air.
Tim, go ahead before John. What do you need?
Yeah, I wonder if I can get the time and the temp.
338, about 57. Go ahead, John.
Last week, professors and students of the Chinese Culture University in Taipei's mountains were treated to a rainbow that lasted 9 hours.
Whoa.
That's
Single
a
rainbow?
long time.
Zhao Kunhausno.
Were they tripping, John?
Nope.
Come on.
A professor in the university's Department of Atmospheric Sciences says it was amazing. It felt like a gift from the sky. It's
I think
so
it'd
rare.
be neat.
Professor Chow and the second professor, Lu Qinghuang.
It would wreck you for rainbows, though, for the rest of your life,
Right,
wouldn't it? Because
right.
this is the arbitrator.
Like the one guy
and
that-
as you got older,
barometer.
you would have to tell, I once saw a 9-minute rainbow. I'd be like, okay, I got to get out of here.
9 hours.
9 hours.
9
Okay, it's
hours.
even worse.
These two professors led the efforts to document the rainbow with the help of the department's students and the campus community. Their observations, pictures, and video recordings showed the rainbow lasted from 6:57 a.m. until 3:55 p.m.
Did we ever figure out what the guy was tripping on when he discovered the double rainbow?
Double rainbow?
Was that an LSD thing?
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, Johnny.
Yes.
As America looks inward here, since we elected a new president, and America first, you sure got a lot of global view of your news report. I think you ought to start looking inward to America first.
And along those same lines, Patrick, I was just thinking as he was doing this last story, I hear about every 10th word he says. I'm really not paying that close attention. Just
America's. I don't think you like America, John.
Yeah,
That's all I'm trying to say.
make it a little
here.
more
I'm
interesting.
really
Let's
worried
talk about
you.
us, John.
Why do I hate America?
Double rainbow. Oh, my God.
9 hours, dude. I'm telling you, man. I'm looking at the Burnsville Tower Cam.
Yeah.
It's trying to be nice out. I see blue sky.
Yeah.
Double rainbow?
No. Well, if you listen to GL, you'd know this. Winter weather is on the way.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. How long was that break? About 4 minutes?
Oh, my God. I think I had like 3 heart attacks during that.
We can never film the break stuff. in here.
No, definitely not.
Wow. I think it's even too bad for
Make
satellite.
a hell of a podcast, though.
I think it's even too bad for satellite radio.
We would have offended everybody that was listening with that 4 minutes. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm glad I'm not in there where the hijinks is taking
We started
place.
with you viewing a 9-hour rainbow.
Yeah, and then it moved on from there.
We moved into Prairie Home Companion with a gentleman named Jim.
In South Carolina, when a man found the only worker.
Good luck, Johnny. Best of luck to you.
We're back on track.
Hey now!
Something I never, ever wanted to see in my mind's eye.
We're good here. Here we go.
When a man found
What is wrong with you
Give me
idiots?
another powder horn biscuit.
Powder horn.
Well, whatever the hell it
That's
is.
what they call it sometimes.
Greatest line in the history of the Larry Sanders Show. I think they settled out of court. You know?
Yeah, and you're really going to have to know what that's in reference to.
Wow. When a man found
You know, he patted the chick on the back because she was unhappy.
Yes.
I want to existentially, or did she get a cold powder horn biscuit? What happened?
Man,
What the hell happened?
If I had to pat my wife on the back every time she was unhappy, I'd have rotating cough problems.
Should have whelps.
You'd have to switch arms.
All right.
Oh, my
Well, either that or you'd have to hire Garrison to help out. I'm getting really tired here. Can you help me out here?
Biscuit. Have another
It's
biscuit,
okay to
Dizzy.
slip up a few inches, too.
Hey, Gary, get in here. I need a relief
I
pitcher.
hired a pro.
I'll have another biscuit.
In South Carolina,
Yes.
when a man found the only worker at the empty Waffle House asleep, he took his meal into his own hands.
Okay.
Alex Bowen on Facebook chronicled with selfies how he went back, made his own double Texas bacon cheesesteak
Atta
melt
boy.
about 2 a.m. Bowen said on Facebook he waited 10 minutes, tried to get somebody to wait on him, then cooked his meal and even scraped the grill when he was done.
What's chicken steak?
What is that?
It's just fried,
Chicken,
right?
but it's
Fried in a pan.
padded
Got a
down.
breading,
It's pounded
got a
down a little
breading on
bit.
it.
Where's it prepared? In the oven or on the grill or on the frying pan?
You would do it on the griddle. You could do it in the frying
Do you have
pan.
to have grits with that, or is that
You got to have grits with that. No,
I
you
don't
gotta
do
have-
grits.
Bowen's photos showed him with the sleeping worker, frying bacon, and putting the sandwich together. Waffle House said in a statement it was impressed with Bowen's cooking skills, but customers should never go behind the counter.
I don't think
For
he should
safety
have to
reasons.
pay.
Did we fire the sleeping guy?
That is not noted by the Waffle House folks.
Did the sleeping guy sleep through this guy doing the cooking?
Yep, the pictures you can see the guy sleeping. Visitors expecting an array of exotic animals at a zoo in southern China were left disappointed when they were confronted with inflatable penguins. As the first zoo to be set up in Yulin, Gangxi province, locals were keen to see what the new Gishan Zoo had to offer. It had been advertised as a place to see rare animals and learn about wildlife. But besides the plastic blow-up penguins, attractions included a handful of roosters, geese, and a tortoise.
That's a bad zoo. That's a bad zoo.
Yeah, I can do
call it
better
a
than that in my
You
backyard.
can go to Como and
As details of the rather disappointing rare animals
Here's your bleeping turkey, you little ass.
spread across Chinese social media, local news sites shared photos from the zoo. Users on the Chinese microblogging network Sina Weibo soon picked up on the story and shared their views. Some folks found it funny but disrespectful, saying, "I can't stop laughing, but this is obviously deceiving the consumer." The zoo is not the first in China to have some controversy. Back in 2013, a zoo in Henan claimed to feature an African lion. We did this story.
Yeah.
Remember, it turned out to be a Tibetan Mastiff dog that they had put a hairy.
I remember that.
I fired the GM
I
at
remember
that
that.
point.
They
Hey,
painted
you
it
missed the
up.
ball in this one.
Painted it up to look like a
Didn't they give it the big hairdo, John?
They put a thing around his head to make it look like he had a mane.
Yeah. The thing the dog wears when it breaks its neck, that they just cover it in hair.
The big cone.
Yeah, the cone.
China.
tail wagging. Roof, roof.
Those are the saddest looking animals in the world when they put those goofy things on.
Cover it in hair, you got a lion.
China does not have a great animal rights records as regarding with zoos. In June of 2017, video clips and photos of angry zoo workers feeding a live donkey to tigers at a zoo in Buckle.
They've got some work to do, don't they?
I would pay money to see that.
I saw a film of that.
Yeah, it went viral.
Yeah, it went viral.
The donkey has no friends.
I don't want to see that.
The poor donkey's like, hey, what's up, bud? What's going on?
Keep your distance.
And a possum, or do we call them possums?
Possum.
Let's go with possum.
All right, a possum that apparently drank bourbon after breaking into a Florida liquor store had to sober up at a wildlife rescue center and was released unharmed.
How'd they get the bourbon?
Emerald Coast Wildlife.
Not a problem.
He broke the bottle, I would guess.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Emerald Coast Wildlife Refuge officials say the possum was brought in by a Fort Walton Beach, Florida police officer. A liquor store employee had found the animal next to a broken and empty bottle of bourbon.
Well, there you are.
A technician at the refuge said a worker there found
Was he listening off to one side? And...
Well,
it's like saving a rat.
Yeah, I don't understand
the
the saving
saving
it.
a possum. Go out and beat its head against the.
Yeah, maybe just walk by. Maybe just go to the up nod.
Oh,
or
they're about
continue walking.
as smart as a shingle. I mean, they're so stupid.
And this one was smart enough to drink.
And the worst part, Ruck, did you hear too? The possum finally got home, and Mrs. Possum said, "Won't you talk to me?" And he just went,
Oh boy! If I had a dime, if I had a dime for every Thanksgiving, I did that. I'd have 10 cents.
Playing possum.
Yeah, exactly.
Possum was smart enough not to drink Bud Light.
A technician at the refuge, Michelle Pettis, told the Northwest Florida Daily News the female possum appeared disoriented, was excessively salivating, and was pale, just like Rook on that Thanksgiving.
"Oh boy, won't you just talk to me?"
Just one.
Can't even say no. My mouth would not work. The poor woman just wanted me to say good night, I love you, or good meal, thank you.
Through the head shake.
The staff.
Were you in that condition where you use the countertop and the table? And everything
leverage.
around you is kind of a cane and something to lean
Sometimes
on.
it's better not to say anything.
I was at the. We were both at the. We were watching the big pots and pans, so my hands were independent of my mouth, going. Whistle while you work, but when she said, "Will you at least talk to me?" I stopped and gave it the half look and just went. And that was it. That was
That was the last bourbon Thanksgiving at the Mikulski home.
no more Fireball.
Possum sobered up here and was
Oh yeah,
released back
so
into
did
the
so did
wild.
Rook.
All right.
Well, we don't have Manny Hill here today to do his 4 deep thoughts on an NFL Sunday, so Reavers and I will do 4 deep thoughts on an NFL Sunday. Then Chip Scoggins will be with us about 4:40 to talk about the college football playoff and other college football matters, and a little bit of the Vikings. And then Ben Gessling.
They need more teams in that playoff.
I don't think so.
4's not enough.
Well, 8's okay, and then if you throw out the bowl games, but they won't do that.
All right.
So, and then Ben Gessling will talk about the latest triumph for the Vikings. So
It was pretty nifty.
yes, it was. There's no denying they're good.
1500 ESPN is KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's 56 degrees. Snow on the way later. The ride with Royce next.